America's elite figured out early on that the easiest way to protect their wealth wasn't with guns. It was by turning poor whites and poor blacks, enslaved blacks, against each other. Back in the 1600s, after Bacon's Rebellion, rich landowners saw poor whites and poor blacks fighting side by side. That scared the hell out of them. Unity meant that the ruling class could lose their land, their money, their everything. So what did they do? They invented laws to separate poor people by skin color. They handed poor whites just enough status to feel superior, while keeping them poor as dirt. That was something that W.E.B. Du Bois called the psychological wage of whiteness. Its manipulation so old, it's practically America's favorite pastime. The truth is, white supremacy has always been a tool of the elite. It's not about poor whites gaining power. It's never about that. It's about making sure they never join forces with poor blacks to demand real change. If you'd like to support my work, you can donate to ko-fi.com/Kelly Snyder. And remember, you don't have to be an expert to be an avid learner. Get curious.
So by design, one of the things that I noticed, and I've noticed this for a long time, and I think this is primarily because they're the ones that's holding power in the media and have had political power for decades. And that's the limousine liberals. Nobody talks about the limousine liberals and the damage that they do to society in a whole, which is everybody. But who they damage the most is basically black people. I've seen it. I've lived it. In many ways, I'm still living it. You know, they basically they do things differently than what the conservatives do as far as their capitalistic motivations and whatnot. Because see, what happens, what I notice about limousine liberals and why I pretty much stayed away from, the Democratic Party and all of their foolishness. And, I did that I would say about at least over 10 years ago. I just pretty much kind of saw the writing on the wall and what was going on. And what was going on is what I saw was a lot of what the Democratic Party stood for and were for, I wasn't for. I was against. Okay, it was just certain viewpoints, certain ideologies that a lot of Democrats, a lot of black people are Democrat. They vote Democrat. I say this time and time again. I'm only one of the few individuals on YouTube that's brave enough, that got the cojones enough to say basically a lot of people are psyoped, a lot of people are brainwashed, a lot of people are propagandized and socially engineered to death, and black people are definitely victims of that. Some people will say low IQ. Oh, you can't figure out you being controlled and you being overpowered and you being brainwashed. I don't know. Like, maybe some people just, I guess it's hard for me to argue against it. But I mean, at the same time, I just think that in general, overall, I think the average black person understands, regardless of Democrat or Republican. Regardless of Democrat or Republican, I think the average black person just does not just trust either party, whether it be Republican Party or Democratic Party, especially white people in that part in either party. They looking, basically side eye, and that's in general. I mean, that's just by design. But I mean, it's like, well, if you look at the average black community, major cities that have all of these crime issues and everything, you got to look at it from a lens of who are the perpetrators, who are the people involved, and who are they associated with. Well, we know who are the people involved and who the people are. Okay, who are they associated with? Hands down, all of the like, if you wanted to find out what kid ate the cookie jar, you look for the crumbs. Well, basically the crumbs are all on the Democratic Party. They're the ones that push all of this vote for blue no matter who. They push for all of this foolishness and then expect black people to continuously vote for this bullshit. Vote for trans, LGBT initiatives, trans story hour, Pride Fest, Pride Month, Pride. Just like, like I call it, they just want to stick a rainbow up your throat. You just want to, basically in the last, 8 years, they've been trying to, the Democratic Party in the initiatives that they have to basically populate, basically control population and control people to make them just weaker and more less strong, basically, just to make everybody gay. Yeah, rainbow everybody out. Take this rainbow, shove it up your ass, and move on. And that's the most disparaging thing. Even I mean, everybody, including whites, were like, I'm tired of this shit. I go to the fucking beer aisle and then I gotta get a rainbow beer. I gotta get a rainbow beer pack of my favorite beer or whatever. They just got tired of it. They got tired of being rainbow to death, like, basically. And then not only including that, all of the crime and all of these Democratic ran cities that basically are endorsed by the black community. Black community, they call black people coons because they support basically conservatives, which it is a strong. I'm one of the few individuals that's fair and balanced. That I look at things, I point things out. I'm not one-sided. I definitely can see the conservatives, with their extreme white nationalism and all of that. But, I really was trying to just kind of leave things alone and just go, talk about something else or whatever, or maybe talk about this another day. But I just pretty much, I had to say something, and what I had to say is that basically, all of this is being pushed by these liberal agendas. All these liberal agendas are from basically this party, and black people being psyoped to death, being programmed by mama and them, grandmama and them, auntie and them, cousin them, kinfolk and them to vote for the Democratic Party no matter what, even if it undermines the black community, which pretty much the Democratic Party definitely, that's one of the main, that's the other reason. Let's just say, I just say, fuck it. I don't care about the rainbow agenda. At the end of the day, the Democratic Party does everything it can to undermine the black community. One of the major things the Democratic Party does, and the limousine liberals do, is one of their biggest weapons is benign and neglect. I called this out many times. Other people call it out too. Benign and neglect is one of the biggest dumps that the Democratic Party takes on black people every single year. Every day they just dump on black people. Basically, vote for me, vote for blue. Then they go back into their plush suburbs and their mansions and their limousines, and they don't have to live around all of the heavy crime, the unemployment, the joblessness, and the Section 8 and welfare lines and everything else that's associated with poverty. They don't live in those areas. They live in their plush little suburbs with their limousines and mansions. They're rich. You know, they don't care about they can be phony, and then at the end of the day vote for me or vote for this party, and then they go back to their little plush suburbs. And it's very few black people that live in their suburbs. If they do live there, they probably will come up to you on some Karen stuff, you know, Karen or Ken, you know, what are you doing living here? What are you doing here? I'm not vocal. I don't remember everything, but I get that. I've gotten that in Illinois, and Illinois is a limousine liberal state. Illinois is like the headquarters. New York is between New York and Chicago, and definitely LA as being the headquarters of limousine liberals. Yeah, they'll be quick to be like, hey, what you doing over here? Yeah, they'll you know, if they see a car they don't notice or whatever. You know, I remember like a lot of times back when I was doing DoorDash, which I haven't been doing DoorDash for like a month, and I feel great. I hope I can retire from it, but I mean, basically, I just kind of stopped doing it because I just don't see an incentive of it, and also it breaks your cars down. You know, it breaks your vehicle down, and they don't have any vehicle reimbursement program. They don't have any like profit sharing where they you know, put some money in an account in case your car breaks down or something like that you can, you know, pull from like a retirement account or something like that, or, you know, unemployment fund or something. No, if your car break down, it's on you, and you better get another car, you know. And it's just when you really break it down, it's just not worth it. But yeah, that's what they do. They have all of this unemployment, all of these, you know, violent crimes going on, lack of policing and all of this. And then they just be like, oh, well, you know, vote for us. We'll fix it when we get back. We'll fix it in the next election cycle. It's like, what's going on right now? You already vote. You're already in office now. Can you do something now? No, we'll do it. We'll do it when you elect us again for the second term. We'll do it. And then after they get the vote and they get in their limousine and then they go drive right back to their mansion, stop at Starbucks on the way home, you know, then they go to, you know, go in their, you know, lofty mansion, you know, have them some wine, and they sit back and they just watch TV and watch all of the foolishness and this, you know, chicanery is going on in society as the world turns, you know, like, and it's like, yeah, like it just, you know, and then it's another term of benign and neglect. The hood has more broken windows, more trash, more, you know, more poverty, more unemployment. You know what I'm saying? More everything, all of the negative statistics that you can think of, just more of that. And all of these basically people that are pretty much are, I hate to say it, but black people are just like, they're like, people that like on Get Out, where they just gone in the head. Like a lot of black people are gone in the head because they'll rather be a loser. They'll be a self-identified loser that votes for people that don't give no fucks about them, that lets their community be violent, that pushes for abortions, for basically them to be basically eliminated. It's like all of these things it's just pure wicketry they vote for, and they accept these candidates back to back to back. And then you just see these people, man, and they're like, it's like they're under a hallucination. A lot of black people, the way they act is, very generally like they're under a spell, like they're under a state of hallucination. They don't even know what they're doing. Like, it's like they're so programmed. They just basically they don't know how to get out of it. Like, it's just like they're under a spell or something. And they know it's not right, but it's just that's all they know. That's what they're used to. Basically mama and them, nana and them, grandma and them voted for blue, voted for Democrat no matter who. And that's what they do. What mama do. What mama do, we do. What I do, mama do. Mama do, I do. And they just on this, mama do spell. You could call it the black community is under the mama do spell. What mama did, I do. And it's like, no, mama didn't know better. She was brainwashed. She's under, brainwashing. And she didn't know no better, and then she trying to tell you she programmed you to be stuck on stupid. Having these limousine liberals come into town. Where I seen this the most? And I just used to be so weird to me. I saw it on when I had my store on 79th in the south side of Chicago. I seen candidates like in 79th in Chicago. It's like one of the worst parts of Chicago. It's like it's a known thoroughfare. It's so dangerous. They call it the 9, like a 9mm. Because it's very dangerous. A lot of drugs, poverty, crime, unemployment. Like I call it the 3 horsemen of the apocalypse: unemployment, violence, and no jobs. You know what I'm saying? Like it just breeds on crime, poverty, violence. It's just, a lot of these places, man. I mean, I like that. And 79th was like that. 79th in East 79th in Chicago, to this day, is still like that. Very, very violent. The hood, the ghetto, right? I seen these candidates come in like Lisa Madigan and all these other Democratic shields come literally in the neighborhood, in these neighborhoods, to give a speech. And they got their little trusty little black Democratic coons because it's coons, believe it or not, like there's coons on both sides. I mean, it's coon Republicans or conservatives, it's coon Democrats. But people they don't think that for whatever reason, the propaganda machine or whatever doesn't put black Democrats as coons. But you saw it in the last election. You saw all of a sudden these failed, out of irrelevant rappers, or basically pushing for Kamala Harris. And it's like, he's like, what the hell? Who is these people? Like, I didn't even know these people were even political all of a sudden. I never heard Plies talk about politics until Kamala Harris, and, I mean, all these other, Democratic shields on, like Roland Martin and all of the other, Divine Nine, podcasters and all of that, and radio hosts, as part of the Black, Greek organizations, and some people call it the Black bourgeoisie or boule, and they pushing for Democrats, pushing for same people that push benign and neglect and public this and public this, so we'll give you some crumbs so you can stay a bum in the ghetto, and we'll fund more Planned Parenthood clinics for you. Here we'll give you some more. We'll give you an increase on Section 8. We'll give you an increased food stamps. We'll give you an increase on the amount of abortion clinics that you have to choose from. You just had one within a 5-mile walking distance. Now you have two, thanks to us. Thanks to the Limousine liberal. You have 2 abortion clinics instead of 1 now. That's what we got for you. And we got some more gun laws for you, because we know the most demonic people that live in your areas. They don't follow any gun laws. So here's some more gun laws for you down your throat, so you can get shot. And we won't get shot because we're in our bulletproof limousines, living in our lofty mansions in estates in the suburbs where it's safe, because there's basically no Black Democrats that live there, because it's hard for them to get out of the hood, right? You know what I'm saying? It is, and it is very difficult to get out of the hood. Trust me, I lived it. So, it's a reason why they call it the trap, the trap, right? So, yeah, that's in a nutshell why I just basically just like, what, fuck it. I mean, I would never ever again in life associated myself with that. And I'm happy that I don't associate myself with that, because it's foolish. I don't care if I'm the only person that, basically is not a clown or an idiot in a room, and everybody else I'm in a room with clowns and idiots. I'll walk out and then I'll go home, because, people are clowns and idiots, basically letting people take advantage of them. I've seen it like I said, when I had my store, the south side of Chicago, man. You have these little preachers, they got like a little small church or something. They use these people as like their coons, like their Democratic coons, to push votes. And they've been doing this in Chicago for decades. I mean, Mayor Daley did it. He had a bag man. He used to go and pay Black politicians to push for votes. His daddy did it, Daley Sr. They've been doing it for years. But here's the lovely thing. Here's the beautiful thing. People are waking up and they are seeing, what's going on. People are vocal about it. It is a push to kind of put people, not so much push people to be conservatives, but there is a drive. But I'd have to say, if I had to choose one over the other, it definitely ain't the Democratic Party. because the Democratic Party has the shittiest neighborhoods, the most unsafe neighborhoods that you could ever live in. Like you can't even safely walk down. Even it's parts of the south and west side of Chicago. Even if you're a mailman, you're not safe. There's active murder investigations for mailmen, basically mail ladies. It's a mail lady that basically one of them got shot, like I think a year or two ago, and it's another mail lady. She just disappeared. They just kidnapped somebody, basically kidnapped her or killed her, and they haven't found the body. Like it's been years. Kiera Coles, a male lady that basically is just missing. Now, some people allege that her boyfriend or baby father, because she was pregnant at the time, has something to do with it. But I mean, who knows? But the thing is that's what goes on in these areas. Like, I mean, there's people getting away with murder. They have, but not part of people don't really understand what benign and neglect is. Basically, benign neglect is an old strategy. Basically, let your enemies destroy themselves. Basically, that's in general. That's what benign and neglect is. But benign and neglect is actually a old war strategy. Give your enemies guns and let them shoot and kill each other. It's an old strategy. It's not nothing new, but it's something that the Democratic Party has basically used to very successfully to undermine black people in America, and nobody hardly says anything about it. And and unfortunately, you have two types of black people. You have black people that they still are for the status quo. They, all of the black male simps that do what mama do, the do what mama do party. Basically they doing what mama do. These are the same men that hold up the matriarchy, that keep the matriarchy going. These mindless, basically disillusioned simps, that basically keep the black community a matriarchy, and these are the same people that vote for blue no matter who, and talking about these other guys, these black men that vote for Republicans or call themselves conservatives or align themselves with the Republicans versus more than they align themselves with the Democrats or the liberals per se, are coons, as if the black people in the Democratic Party are not coons. Okay, going for doing anything for butter biscuits and chicken in a chicken or Popeyes commercial or chicken commercial. I mean, I've seen it. I've seen it in Chicago, and it just it's just really sad. Really, to be honest, it's very, very sad. When you really break everything down. I'm being comical. I'm putting a spin on this with dark humor, but it's still dark humor. It's very, very dark and nihilistic and very, very hardcore. Like all you got to do is go to any inner city, whether it be Chicago, St. Louis, Detroit. You see the drudgery. You see the darkness. They this like the book. I think I forgot. I think it was E. Franklin Frazier. Dark ghettos. Yeah, these ghettos are very, very dark places. And it's full of liberals, full of Democrats that love these Democratic, these limousine liberals. They love these guys, man. And it's not just white people. It's not just white people that are Democratic, that are limousine liberals. I mean, it's limousine liberals in all different, ethnicities, or whatever. They for everything that undermines black people, immigration, LGBTism, violent, basically gun control, which basically undermines black people in unsafe neighborhoods where black people basically get mowed down left and right by basically outlaws, people that don't even follow the law. And then the citizen, he can't even, the average citizen don't know which way is up. You just going around in circles trying to figure out if he should bring his gun out, and put it on them or not, or just get shot up by somebody in the neighborhood. And it's like, yeah, because they want you to kill yourself. They want people to shoot themselves. And on top of that, here's the kicker: you get caught for shooting somebody. Another black person shoots another black person in the hood, in like Chicago or St. Louis or whatever. Here, we'll give you 5 years, 4 years. Here, just do 10. Even to be honest. I'll be honest with you. I know people personally, they got caught for murder. They only did 20 years. They did 20 years, which I don't even think 20 years is enough. At the end of the day, 20 years is a long time, but you get out, you get to go eat some ribs, get some pussy, make some babies. You get to live your life, while the person you just killed, he ain't never gonna get to live his life, or whoever. They ain't gonna never get to live. I've seen people do 7 years or less. I've seen people do less than 10 years for killing somebody. One of my friends, one of my dad's friends that he basically grew up with, he got killed by somebody in the neighborhood, some little bum in the neighborhood that was helping him out. He had a auto. He had basically a car. He was a car dealer. He had a car dealership. He had a restaurant. He had cabs, and the dude just grabbed a bat and went upside his head because he had some money or whatever. That dude, man, he did less than 10 years in jail. In prison. Got out. Probably still bumming around somewhere on the south side of Chicago. Who knows? You know what I'm saying? Might be homeless. I don't know. Who knows? He could be in a fucking condo in the Gold Coast for all I know. But he's out. My friends that I grew up with as well, his dad is gone. He had to bury his dad. So it's just, this stuff is crazy, but nobody points this out hardly. Very few people point this out. I see it and it's obvious to me. Some will argue, well, what the Republicans don't do. Well, at least they ain't fucking giving you a false hope of lies and trying to, basically vote for me and, we'll try to make it better my next term. And then the next term come, then, it's more broken glass. It's like that song, broken glass everywhere. People living around, they just don't care. Literally, that song was from I think the late 70s or very early 80s, like 81 or 82 or something. Grandmaster Flash with the Furious Five. He was literally talking about benign and neglect. That fucking rap song, which is like a classic, is like one of the first hit rap songs in the world of rap, like in the history of rap. It's like one of besides the Sugar Hill Gang and a hip hop, hip hop, you don't stop to the hip hop it up. Like after that, Sugar Hill Gang and basically Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five. It's like a jungle sometimes. They keep me they trying to keep me under or whatever. Like it's been I'm a little rusty, man. I ain't heard that song in a long time, but the whole point of it, that song is about New York City, the Democratic machine that was a Democratic machine then and still is It was about benign and neglect. That rap song was about benign and neglect. The basically Democratic machine not giving a fuck about these black people in these ghettos, and then still want them to vote for them. It wasn't, that song was not necessarily about that, but it was about these young people that are rapping about basically benign and neglect that they had to deal with. And that's a tripped out thing about real estate in New York. In New York, a lot, I've never been to New York. I mean, right now I'm in Houston, which is crazy because I've never been to Houston. And it's tripped out because it's like, I assumed that it was going to be like sports betting in Texas. Texas is banned sports betting. Ain't no sports betting in Texas. My phone like, nigga, you ain't doing shit here, buddy. Ain't no sports betting. I mean, like, they don't have, like, sports betting is outlawed because of basically, they don't want sports betting. The Republicans don't want sports betting in Texas. I mean, but the whole point to all of that is, basically, when I go to back to the Grandmaster Flash and I mean that whole song was about benign and neglect, broken glass everywhere. People just dealing with poverty and benign and neglect. And I know, I mean, people be like, man, well, can you go pick up some glass? Can you pick the glass up? Can you organize a group to pick up the glass? Can you, have some pride about yourself and pick up the glass? I mean, it's, to a certain extent, yeah, I get that. But at the same time, these people don't probably care. They throw out, trash and garbage and glass and break, windows. I was around the 80s, man. People was throwing rocks, man. I used to throw rocks, man, at the train. I used to live behind the Green Line. We used to throw rocks at the train. Like, it was just like, it was badlands. It was bad times. But the tripped out thing about New York real estate and all of those, like, abandoned properties, like, man, you look at New York real estate in the 80s and you see all these abandoned buildings and stuff, and these buildings that was like, rubbish and all of that. You would thought the fucking Russians invaded New York and dropped bombs in Bronx and, different parts of New York where it was like all messed up. The tripped out thing is, it's kind of like New York real estate is like Bitcoin. How Bitcoin is now. Like, who would have thought that all of that real estate was going to be expensive? You got to even, live in the worst part of New York, which is the Bronx. You got to spend $1,500 to $2,000 for an apartment in the worst part of New York. If you go to Brooklyn or something like that, you're going to spend probably 3 or 4 bands for a 1-bedroom apartment or a studio. You know what I'm saying? And that's like entry level. So it's like, yeah, I mean, it's, it changed. I mean, how did it change? I mean, had Wall Street and capitalism, innovation, technology, the economy had a big surplus, especially after the .com boom or the computer boom of, basically the late 90s and 2000s with Microsoft and Apple, going head to head. Obviously Microsoft won that battle, but Apple, they pretty much, they got a good market share. I think Apple's market share of the computer industry in a whole, I think they got like 25% of the market on computers. but Apple is definitely different than Microsoft. But yeah, like, yeah, I mean, that's very similar to what happened in Chicago, but a little bit different. It's a little bit different. I mean, that happened as far as like I seen Bronzeville going from this like bad land to like where they called it, they changed it to Bronzeville to the low end because it was so ghetto. To now, you can't even buy a plot of land in Bronzeville for less than probably $50,000, $100,000. That's just land. To buy a building is over $1 million, and they have very like in Illinois or in Chicago, they have these graystone buildings, that these historic buildings that was built in like the 1800s and the early 1900s, and they like these graystone buildings, built with like limestone and stuff. And it's like in Brooklyn, very similar to Brooklyn, where they have these, I think they call them red or something, or brownstones. I think it's brownstones. So like, yeah, they have similar things that happen in Chicago, but the thing is that these brainwashed Democratic basically drones that a lot of big part of the makes up a big part of the black community or the black people as a whole. They keep voting for these people, and then they just they get a little crumbs, and then basically their community is still violent. Kids, grandchildren still can't play outside. Kids can't come outside without catching a bullet. You can't even sit in the car in Chicago. One of the most dangerous things you could do in Chicago is sit in a parked car and talk. I remember that was the thing to do back in the day, like sit in the car, Jones up a shorty, what I'm saying, and try to get her to, come back to your place or, go to her place or whatever. You sit in the car and you spit your game. Like, you can't even do that in Chicago now. You get killed if you sit in the car too long, for whatever reason. But, this is all by design, right? And then the judge, you got these Democratic benign and neglect judges, because it's all based off of benign and neglect, because they want you to just continuously, just like rats and roaches, just destroy. They want black people to destroy each other. So you got these Democratic judges. They give these criminals that do get caught, the outlaws that don't even follow the gun laws. They give them, give them a freaking ankle monitor, and they got a gun charge. They done shot somebody and robbed them or whatever. Then they put a fucking ankle monitor, and then they go shoot somebody else, and then they solve the crime because they found out the ankle monitor's location was right down the street from where the shooting happened. Oh, wow. He actually did it. Well, why did you let him do it? Why'd you let a guy that almost killed someone or damn near did kill someone out on a fucking ankle monitor? Because the Cook County jails, which is Chicago jails, basically, or Chicagoland area jails, are overpacked or packed up, So they try to reduce the jail population by sending these people on in a home in an ankle monitor. And then they go shoot up somebody or shoot up some kid. And then the judges don't get looked at or scrutinized because it's part of the system. It's part of the Democratic machine. It's part of their benign and neglect. It's part of their systematic approach of what they do. To basically stand back and let them just, destroy each other. While we just continue to just come in every now and again, every 4 years, we'll just ask for votes. Malcolm X talked about this. Other, people of the past, talked about this. It's nothing new. But that's one of the main reasons why you'll never hear me ever again in life talking about I'm just, really into the Democratic Party and, oh, wow, man, I'm so liberal. No, okay. No. Like, you'll never hear me say that stupid shit again. Like, that programming, basically brainwashing, been unbrainwashed for over 10 years now. Definitely, I would say roughly, probably give or take about 15 years. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting to see like this whole thing collapse though, because people ain't going for this shit. Like it's still a lot of people going, but I do admit most black people are going. They doing the same stupid shit they continuously do, but it is like it's a small portion of those that are they're kind of waking up, or they're changing the jumping ships, and they're basically either deciding to not be in politics at all, or be politically focused at all, or they definitely ain't liberal or Democrat. But it's like almost like black men, have this simp chip. Even if they, don't have the simp chip right anymore, if it gets deactivated, black men also have a Democratic chip. They have a liberal chip. And that liberal chip is still kind of there. It's like a sleeper chip, and it's like, I mean, that's still something that's still kind of there. I admit, like, as far as it's something that possibly, it's what I'm saying, and it could go off one day or whatever, it's a possibility. But I mean, it's like, yeah, people ain't going for that. Like, they not going. Like, they can just kind of see it, and then other people have like pointed it out. Like, people waking up. Like, everybody ain't slow. It might be millions of people that's slow, and I can't wait to get to my job, and I can't wait to vote blue no matter who, and hopefully everything will be all right after I blow blue no matter who. Like, I mean, it might be millions of people like that, but thank God, thank God that I was born with a brain and I was able to figure some shit out after I went through the fire and figure this shit out. Basically understand that, it's like, basically you've been had, you've been hoodwinked, you've been led astray, in the words of Malcolm X, like, it's just not cool, man. And these Democratic, these liberal limousine liberals, man, they crashing out. They pissed because people waking up. People waking up to the plan in the cabal. The cabal is being noticed. The cabal is not supposed to be noticed. The plan is not supposed to be noticed. You're not supposed to notice the plan, but people are slowly kind of figuring things out. It's, where is the shit the smelliest? In the hood. What is it associated with these, Democratic hoods like Chicago, St. Louis, Memphis, Detroit, even New York? What is it very similar about this? LA. Oh, fucking Democrats. Shitty ass Democrats. That's what's associated with this. Oh, okay. I won't be associated with that. Definitely, I'm stay away from that as far as I can possibly stay away from. So, I mean, that's it. That's all I had to say. I just, I don't hardly ever talk about politics, but I just kind of have to remind those that, these people do exist, and if they fooled me for a long time, I'd have to say, and fooled a lot of people, but they definitely are not fooling me now. I'm definitely aware of the Limousine Liberal and what they do, and the little games that they play, and people ain't going for that. That's why they trying to figure out. That's why he's trying to bring in, immigrants and everything. It's just all these things. Everything they do, damn near undermines black people. And it undermines everyone really, but it undermines black people the worst. And basically, I gotta point that out one more time for old time's sake.